Everything's shut down. There's nothing to do in Guangzhou anymore. After the Dragon Boat Festival, a blogger visiting a garment village in Guangzhou noted that the streets were filled with idle people with no work available. On June 3rd, a factory owner in Guangzhou filmed the interior of his factory and remarked, "Brothers, we stopped production. Look, it's all shut down. There's still 3 workers doing odd jobs in the back. Just a few days ago, we were busy, and now the business is gone." Another owner shared that in his 1,500 square meter factory, only 2 people were working, and the entire factory had to come to a halt. This reflects the dire situation in Guangzhou's Haizhu district after June 1st. Look, this factory only has 2 machines running. Just a while ago, we were extremely busy. It's really terrible for the garment industry now. In another video from June 3rd, a factory had gone out of business and its entrance was crowded with vendors seeking payment from the owner. On June 1st, another blogger posted a video of a printing and dyeing factory that had been operating well just days earlier but had been sealed by authorities, with the owners fleeing. It's been said that this year's market is bad, and several factories in the silicon industry have closed down. A manufacturing business owner in the silicon industry stated that despite many of his peers going out of business, he plans to persevere because he does not want his years of hard work to go to waste and see his employees lose their jobs. On June 4th, a blogger in Foshan, Guangdong, posted videos saying that the building materials industry is rapidly collapsing.
This is a ceramic factory, a tile factory. There are at least 20 buildings of this size here, and now they are all waiting to be rented out. Many smaller factories have come in to rent these workshops. Look, this is one of the workshops. See how large it is. It's now a parking lot, all empty. Building materials are no longer profitable. This tile factory went bankrupt and is renting out all its premises. Look at the door and window industry. It's really competitive. I just walked by and there are at least 7 or 8 of these. Small door and window factories ranging from 800 to 1,000 square meters. It's a common habit in China to open a factory and everyone wants to be a boss. The previous slogan was, "Rather sleep on the floor than not be the boss." Now I think these people need to change their slogans. This year, many small and medium-sized door and window factories are closing down. The hardest part right now is for these factory owners. They have to pay workers' wages and rent on time every month. They can't delay by even 1 day. So, when they run out of options, they mortgage their houses and cars just to pay wages.
On June 2nd, a factory owner shared a video in which he spoke with friends about several small and medium-sized manufacturing factories closing down. He remarked that this year is proving to be particularly difficult. He analyzed 3 main issues causing factory closures in the manufacturing industry this year.
今天跟几个朋友聊天。
The first issue is profits. Profits have been wiped out by unpaid debts. Many customers are now requesting payment terms of 60 days, 90 days, and even 120 days. If you don't agree to these terms, they won't cooperate with you. The second issue is that low prices have destroyed product quality. Customers keep demanding price reductions. Our profit margin is already below 10%. Now it's being squeezed to 5% or even 3%. If you don't reduce prices, competitors will, and even if your prices are slightly higher, customers won't buy from you. What can you do? The third issue is that competitors are copying innovations. After spending so much time developing a product, within a month, someone else has copied it. They copy your product closely with only small changes. Even though you have the patent, you can't do anything about it. Once they've copied it, they sell it at a lower price. So what can we do? These 3 challenges are really tough on us. Manufacturing is incredibly difficult right now. If we don't get crushed by these pressures, that would be a good outcome. One blogger discussed the crisis in China's manufacturing industry, suggesting that the main issue is market involution. The market is too competitive now, and more than 80% of companies will be eliminated, with no chance for survival. A term that has become quite popular in our industry is involution. A blogger shared that a company executive visited the markets in Shandong, Linyi, and Guangxi, and ended up at one of his factories in Guangxi. The executive said that after his visit, he realized the industry was stagnant. Every downstream client he met mentioned that the market has become so competitive that, in the end, everyone will suffer. The blogger believes the reason behind the intense competition in the industry is the severe supply-demand imbalance. China's real estate sector has stagnated, and since real estate is linked to over 300 industries, it impacts the entire home goods supply chain. If this trend continues, in the next 2 to 3 years, half of China's traditional manufacturing companies may be eliminated. In the long run, 10 or even 20 years from now, over 80% of companies might disappear. Additionally, traditional manufacturing in China is shifting to countries like Vietnam, Cambodia, the Philippines, and Malaysia, leading to a significant loss of manufacturing capacity in China. According to the Caixin China Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index for May, released by Caixin Media, the PMI dropped from 50.4 in April to 48.3, falling below the 50-point threshold for the first time in 8 months. This is the lowest point since October 2022. Caixin noted that market conditions worsened in May, with clear contradictions in supply and demand. A key reason for contraction is weak external demand. Manufacturing exports have declined for the second consecutive month, and the new export orders index reached its lowest point since August 2023. David Huang, an economist from the United States, pointed out that China's PMI dropped to its weakest level since the pandemic shock of 2022, and that it was mainly caused by collapsing external demand and de-risking supply chain reorganization. Global clients have shifted orders to Southeast Asia, Mexico, and India. Additionally, internal confidence is weak, with private enterprises showing low investment willingness and facing limited financing options. Although the US-China tariff war was paused, many small and medium-sized enterprises in China have been closing down recently. David Huang added that from the end of 2024 to April 2025, the U.S. imposed high tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles, batteries, steel, aluminum, and medical equipment. While the tariff escalation was temporarily suspended after May negotiations, the effects of shifting global orders to other countries has already been felt. However, he believes that tariffs are just a core trigger factor and not the only cause of manufacturing slowdown. Caixin's report emphasized weak external demand, which is in fact the result of the collapse of geopolitical trust and export controls, leading to a pervasive economic downturn. Professor Sun Guoxiang from the Department of International Affairs and Business at Nanhua University in Taiwan stated that although the U.S. and China announced a suspension of new tariff increases in early May, the tariff threat had already been clearly raised in April. Companies typically react early to such risks, which led to the early loss of export orders and the shift of clients to other countries. Professor Sun believes that if China's domestic demand were strong enough, it could have provided some support. However, now both external and internal demand are weak, leaving China's manufacturing industry struggling to stay afloat. On Chinese social media, on June 4th alone, numerous videos and posts appeared showing factories shutting down. One blogger posted a video saying that a small factory had closed. Though the factory had only been in operation for 2 months, the factory owner was a most caring person. She had helped find jobs for 7 of them by connecting them with clients, but due to her excessive debts to the bank, she had no choice but to close the factory and find work to pay off the debt. On the same day, a blogger posted a video saying that a small factory had closed, and its almost new forklift would no longer be used. It was being sold online. Another blogger shared a post saying that due to the sluggish market, a furniture processing factory had shut down, leaving the site in disarray. Another machinery equipment factory in Dawang has shut down. Now, the 9,000 square meters are being rented out for 12 yuan. On May 29, a blogger filmed a video in Guangdong's Zhaoping Dawang high-tech zone, where another machinery equipment factory had closed down. On May 27, Zhihua Electronics Technology in Jiangxi officially applied for bankruptcy at the Longnan City Court. The company is currently involved in several large contract dispute cases, with legal risks continuing to escalate. Zhihua Electronics, once a leading enterprise in the Guangzhou electronics information industry technology city, was established with investment from Shenzhen Wuzhou Technology. The company had a total investment of 3 billion yuan and covered 95 acres. It was fully constructed and began production in May 2019. The company was recognized as a national high-tech enterprise and a specialized and innovative medium-sized enterprise in China. On June 2nd, a Guangzhou-based blogger stated that China's manufacturing industry had officially entered a cold winter. Now in Beijing, Shanghai, and Guangzhou, the number of factories has surpassed the number of mountains. Even in Jiangsu, Zhejiang, and Shanghai, factories are trembling in the cold winter. In the past, factories would wave hiring signs in the streets, but now they post transfer notices with no one responding. Orders are dismal. Every day when I open my eyes, equipment is running, utilities are being consumed, wages are being paid on time, but various real costs are a huge pressure. The manufacturing industry, which once supported over 100 million people, now has 30 million jobs that could disappear at any moment. Manufacturing workers, can you withstand this cold winter? Professor Sun Guoshang stated that the Caixin PMI is more sensitive to market fluctuations due to its focus on small and medium-sized private enterprises and export-oriented businesses. Compared to official data, the Caixin PMI reflects greater volatility, which means that small and medium-sized enterprises are experiencing a larger impact during this downturn. These enterprises generally face difficulties to obtain funding, cannot absorb raw material price fluctuations, lack policy support and risk hedging capabilities. Once orders decrease, they have little buffer and could quickly fall into financial difficulty or even bankruptcy. David Huang explained that the key feature of Caixin PMI compared to the official PMI is its focus on small and medium-sized manufacturers, export processing, and private enterprises. It is less susceptible to local government data manipulation and embellishment. Therefore, when the Caixin PMI weakens first, it signals that the resilient zone of Chinese manufacturing, which consists of small and medium-sized enterprises, is collapsing. These small businesses, which rely on thin profit margins, flexible supply chains, and small loans for operations, are directly tied to job stability in city outskirts and serve as a stabilizer for low-income earners in society. He said, when the weakest links aren't state-owned enterprises, but the capillaries of small and medium-sized enterprises, the economic shock has just begun. According to Caixin data, manufacturing employment continued to decline. The employment index has fallen below the growth threshold for 8 of the past 9 months. Business face significant market pressure and are reluctant to hire. David Huang believes that as the manufacturing industry continues to decline, employment will be the first to suffer, especially for skilled workers in sectors such as electronics assembly, textile processing, and hardware injection molding. Even those who retain their jobs will see no increase in real income. The continued layoffs in export-oriented enterprises in Guangdong, Zhejiang, and Fujian provinces will be a key issue to watch. China is experiencing the most severe wave of unemployment in its history, with job-related anxiety becoming a societal buzzword.
南宁的失业率到底有多高？
The unemployment rate in Nanning is so high. Look, even people earning 3,000 to 4,000 yuan a month are still coming in large numbers. Students, and many others who are not students, are all here just to make a living.
A blogger shared in a video that this is the 100th day of unemployment for those born in the 90s, and many are like him, spending every day lying in rented rooms. One fashion blogger mentioned that this year's market conditions are poor, with many factories shutting down, and that she's about to lose her job again. On May 26, the owner of a shoe company in Rui'an, Zhejiang, went bankrupt, and workers were not paid for their work. During a protest for their wages, the police arrived. A netizen commented, "Don't be impulsive. If the shoe factory catches fire, it's no different from the textile factories." Another added, "Everyone is going to have a hard time in this environment." Recently, many factories in mainland China have been struggling, leading to labor disputes. On May 20th, a severe fire broke out at Sichuan Jinyu Textile Company. The fire was reportedly started by a 27-year-old employee named Wen, who set fire to the factory after being owed 800 yuan in wages. The fire lasted for about 37 hours, causing significant property damage. In addition to the workers already struggling in society, this year marks a record high of 12.2 million university graduates entering the job market as graduation season has arrived. On June 4th, a university student posted a video from a university recruitment event saying he was facing unemployment right after graduation.
关于大学生的几个增项，第一，恕我直言啊。
First, to be blunt, at least 60% of this year's over 10 million university graduates will not find jobs. Even if they do, the salaries and benefits are poor, barely enough to survive. For most graduates, unemployment after graduation is a reality. Second, 95% of jobs do not require a bachelor's degree. Those of us who went to college know this well. In other words, what we learned in college is completely mismatched with the skills required for our future jobs. For a long time, the actual unemployment rate for Chinese youth has been much higher than the official statistics. As graduation approaches, many university students have posted on social media about their job prospects, showing that more than half of their classmates are unemployed, which has become the norm. A blogger analyzed the current economic environment, saying it's much worse than most people realize. Many haven't yet understood that nearly half of ordinary families are either already struggling or about to struggle with basic survival needs. This is not just a winter for private, small, and medium-sized enterprises. Even some seemingly stable state-owned and central enterprises are facing resource depletion and operational difficulties. This is not an exaggerated statement, but a harsh reality. The blogger said, "Today we are like passengers on a giant ship that is slowly sinking, with no distinction of class or industry. Almost no one can avoid it. This downturn may be just the beginning of a real hardship. It's only just started to show." The blogger further stated that public data estimates that over 800 million people across the country are in varying degrees of debt. This includes not only personal debts, but also local government financial issues, company cash flow problems, and risks spending throughout the banking system. People are essentially borrowing from the future to pay for the present. Meanwhile, the real estate sector, which has long supported China's rapid economic growth, is now cooling rapidly. If the housing market completely stalls, the entire supply chain tied to it, including home appliances, building materials, finance, and transportation, will face a chain reaction of impacts. Tens of millions of workers in these industries may experience sharp income reductions or even lose their jobs in the short term. By the end of this year, many companies will face a deadline for settling accounts, unpaid wages, supply chain imbalances, and drained funds. The pace of closures will exceed expectations. More seriously, Chinese households are heavily dependent on real estate, with property accounting for more than 70% of household wealth. The decline in housing prices and the evaporation of assets will not just affect numbers, but will impact real-life security. In response, Chinese issues expert Yue Shan suggested, "If you are still holding on to a project that has been continuously losing money, sell it off and cut your losses as soon as possible. Don't try to turn things around by reinvesting. They will only drag you deeper and longer. This is not conservatism, but self-preservation. The ability to survive is the most important skill right now. Don't ask when spring will come. You must first endure the winter."